Hello, everybody, and welcome to English Grammar with Amir Sir. We are on Unit 3.3, the SSC 10th Standard, and we studied the first part of it, and now we are going to finish this chapter today with this second and the final part. Well, I'm happy that students are taking active interest. They are enjoying the lectures, have received very good feedback, and also the homework. I have received homework, and most of them have done it correctly. And we are going to do two things today, let me tell you. The first thing that we shall do is finish the lesson, and we are going to deal with a very interesting exercise on vocabulary. So that is on the agenda for today. Okay, I'm sure that you will enjoy. Let us look at what we dealt with the last time. This was, I believe, I believe, where we stopped the last time. We saw that the slur of his speech, and then he was taken to the doctor by his father, and then the 21-year-old student, he underwent a series of tests. So this is where we had stopped, and now we will continue. As usual, let me tell you, when I read, when I'm explaining, do not write anything, do not keep yourself busy, just relax, enjoy the lecture. I will give you time, we use the countdown timer, we'll set it at 2 minutes, and then you have to jot down, make notes directly in the textbook. Some students have been telling me that they do that and maintain the color coding then, and some students do it in the notepad and they later make the entries in the textbook. It's up to you what you actually prefer. Let's dive straight into the slide that matters, the one that we are going to do today. We'll start with this one today. I hope you are ready. Let me read. They took a muscle sample from my arm, stuck electrodes into me, and injected some radio opaque fluid into my spine, and watched it going up and down with x-rays as they tilted the bed. He once said, after all that, they didn't tell me what I had except that it was not multiple sclerosis and that I was an atypical case. So what are the things to be studied here? First of all, you should notice that radio opaque is a compound word, and there is a grammar entry. They took a muscle sample from my arm. So this is for change the voice, and I have told you an important thing about change the voice last time. We must take a look at the verb. So the verb is took, past tense. So you start after that. So you start with a. So a muscle sample, that's the start. A muscle sample, what happened to that? Was taken from my arm. By whom? By them. They took, right? So that's change the voice. And multiple sclerosis, it means abnormal hardening of body tissue. So his case was really exceptional, which means that it was atypical. So you have the meaning here. Atypical is very rare, very unusual. In short, he was very serious, and the doctors really did not think that he had a lot of time left, to be honest. Going up and down is the figures of speech, because clearly you can see up and down are opposite words. So this is antithesis. I don't think there's anything else here. No. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes and your time starts. Please make accurate notes and write down the antonym of opaque as well, which is transparent. Opaque means you cannot see through. Transparent is where you can see through. So that's a very good entry for antonyms. Please write it down with proper care, making proper notes without any spelling mistakes, of course. It's important. A very good example for change the voice. They took a muscle sample from my arm. A muscle sample was taken from my arm by them. Very interesting. By the way, the vocabulary that we are going to do today, let me update you something about it. What we are going to do is we are going to have the meaning, and I'm going to provide you with 4 good words. All should be known by you. If you don't know them, well, of course, later you can use a dictionary, and you will have to choose the one matching the meaning. So it's going to be a MCQ type. It's multiple choice. So the vocabulary part should also be a lot of fun. Another 40 odd seconds for this one. Guys, X-rays. Here is a good assignment for you. You should tell me why they are called X-rays. It's something very interesting. So why are they called so? Why are X-rays called so? The doctors made it very clear that his case was very critical. It was a very rare case, and if I am not wrong, some doctors did tell Stephen Hawking that he was not going to last long. It's very sad thing, but of course Stephen Hawking was determined to make his life meaningful. Okay, finally the time is over. I hope you are also done writing, and let us proceed with our PPT. Let me read it. Eventually, however, doctors did diagnose Hawking with the early stages of ALS. It was devastating news for him and his family, but a few events prevented him from becoming completely despondent. The first of these came while Hawking was still in the hospital. There, he shared a room with a boy suffering from leukemia. Relative to what his roommate was going through, Hawking later reflected his situation seemed more tolerable. Not long after he was released from the hospital, Hawking had a dream that he was going to be executed. He said this dream made him realize that there were still things to do with his life. Guys, I want you to appreciate the spirit of Stephen Hawking here. So what exactly did we read here? He was sharing the room with another patient who was suffering from leukemia. That's cancer. Okay, that's blood cancer. And now the thing was that looking at his condition, Stephen Hawking thought that his condition with ALS was much more tolerable. So you can imagine the spirit. Even in that situation, he had not lost all hope. In fact, he thought that he was better than that patient suffering from leukemia. So it's very important that you appreciate such spirit. That is indeed a great example of how and what positive spirit truly is. What are the things to study here? Diagnose. I'm sure you know this. Devastating leukemia. So diagnose means that the doctor is going to predict what's wrong or what the outcome of the symptoms. That's why I have mentioned that we have already studied this previously. Devastating is severely shocking. Despondent is in low spirits or with less hope. Completely in a hopeless state is despondent. So talking of vocabulary, well, you should always have this word in mind. Leukemia is blood cancer in simple terms. And executed means killed or put to death. So Stephen Hawking thought that he was going to be put to death because I believe some kind of a euthanasia, because his life was going to be completely useless according to most, not according to him, of course. Okay, so I'm going to start the countdown for you. It's about 2 minutes. Diagnose is what we studied previously, so I don't think you want to write that down one more time. Devastating, certainly you should write it. Severely shocking, devastating, completely shocking. Despondent is hopelessness, in low spirits with less hope. Leukemia in simple terms is blood cancer. Well, in reality, you could talk about the loss of cells or problem in the red blood cells, the RBCs, but in simple terms, it means blood cancer. So you can make note like that. Executed, here it means put to death. So Hawking had a dream that he was going to be executed. Of course, because of this dream, he realized that there were still things to do with his life. Guys, without turning the page or looking at your notes, can you quickly tell me what is the full form of ALS? We studied this the last time. Can you tell me? Be honest about it. Do you know? Well, I'm happy if you know it. It is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Well, I am happy if you were able to say it. If you weren't able to say it, no problem. But this is an important term. You should have definitely known this. All right, people. Please, I shall wait another 30 seconds. And I want you to realize the positive spirit that we were talking about, guys. Very important display of positivity, optimism, that he actually, when he looked at that patient of leukemia, Stephen Hawking thought that his condition was much more tolerable. It's amazing. Absolutely. Okay, I hope you are done making notes and time for us to proceed to the next one. Let me read this. In a sense, Hawking's disease helped him become the noted scientist he is today. Before the diagnosis, Hawking hadn't always focused on his studies. Before my condition was diagnosed, I had been very bored with life, he said. There had not seemed to be anything worth doing. It's amazing, is it not, guys, how a bad thing, an adverse situation actually makes you realize the importance, the significance of life, and sometimes people, the value of things which you otherwise just took for granted. So Stephen Hawking also found new meaning in of life, and he learned that life is quite important. Whatever was left, he wanted to make sure that he could make the most out of it. Now, there are important things to note here. The first one is a grammar entry with make exclamatory. I had been very bored with life. Now, why did I start with this word how? Well, that's something that you have to guys study. Why did I start with how? Because look at the line here. I had been very bored with life. You do not have an article here. I repeat, you do not have an article here. Guys, now you can see me in the bottom right hand corner. You do not have an article here. What are the articles? A, and, the. So you do not have an article here. That's why you start with how. So I had been very bored with life. How bored with life I had been. Had I been is also okay, by the way. So that's the first thing to study, and that's the only thing to study, because we have studied the word diagnosis. Now this will be the third time. And the word noted scientist, well, that means he is very famous. Noted, very famous. Okay, you can make a note of this word. Noted scientist is a very renowned, very famous, very well known, very popular. Noted scientist. And I am going to start your countdown timer, and your time starts now. Remember why I started the exclamatory with how. Whenever it is that you have the articles, you use what, otherwise you start with how, and those are the only two words when you have to make exclamatory. So please remember, don't give away such easy marks. These 1 mark or 2 mark questions are very easy to score. Direct, indirect speech, exclamatory, all you require is practice. In fact, now I have this on my mind that once we are done with this slide, making notes, please also make note of that noted scientist, guys. I gave you a lot of words: famous, renowned, popular, talented, world famous, whatever. So after you're done with this, we will take a look at few more exclamatory sentences. We will take a look at those from the word pad. Maybe we will leave that for later after vocabulary, who knows, but the point is that we want to discuss the exclamatory sentences. Another 45 odd seconds, but you can make a note of it. Like if you have articles, if there are articles, then what you do is you start with, what do? You start with what. If there are articles, then you start with what. If there are no articles, then you start with how. So if there are no articles, then you start with how. So in this case, clearly there was no article, that's why we started with how. Okay, the time is up, and almost, that is last 5 seconds. That's it. Let us go back to our PPT and continue the lesson. Let me read it. With the sudden realization that he might not even live long enough to earn his PhD, Hawking poured himself into his work and research. Guys, PhD. PhD is Doctor of Philosophy. It's a very important thing, but they don't somehow. I'm always intrigued by how these short forms are. If the full form is Doctor of Philosophy, shouldn't it be written DPH instead of PhD? It starts in the reverse, Doctor of Philosophy. But this is not worse. Something like MBBS could also be equally bad. MBBS. Now you might think that the full form is like MBBS. No, it's very weird. MBBS, the full form actually opens like a window. So it's Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. So shouldn't it be BMBS instead of MBBS? But that's how things are. I don't know why it is like that. But some full forms, I've never understood why they are like that. Anyway, PhD is Doctor of Philosophy. So again, Hawking poured himself into his work. So we will study what that is. PhD is Doctor of Philosophy. By the way, we are going to study some other abbreviations now. And the thing is, I want you to understand the meaning of this phrase here. Poured himself into his work. So what do you mean by that? Did he actually pour himself? No, he did not sink into his work. The thing is, it's an expression. It means that he completely immersed himself in work. He made himself get busy with his work because he knew that he had less time with himself. I repeat, he believed that he definitely has less time with himself. So he immersed himself into work. He decided that he will work as much as he can to make the most of the available time at his disposal. And now we are going to study some abbreviations that the SSC students, you guys, should know. And what are those? There you go. Now this will be interesting, guys. I'm now going to start your timer and let me see how many of you actually can get all the 7 abbreviations, the full form of all the 7 abbreviations. And at the same time, you can make a note of PhD and the phrase poured himself into his work, which means immersed himself or made himself busy with work. I will really be happy if you get 5 out of those 7. By the way, the interesting thing here is that all of them are related to the 10th standard syllabus from your lessons. So except for, I think, SIM, that's very common, should know it. But apart from SIM, I think all the other 6 are related to the textbook. They are from the textbook. Do you know them? What is SSC? Well, you should know that. You are in 10th standard. What is IAF? What is ISRO? What is ALS? Surely you should know ALS. I in fact did the revision in this very lecture. What is OGQ? What is UNESCO? And finally, what is SIM? By the way, by SIM I mean the SIM card of your cell phone. Very important, guys. Should know such things. Another 25 seconds. Of course, I will reveal the answers, but I would like to know if you scored. You can leave this in the comments, by the way, later. Whether you were able to give me all 7 correctly, or, well, the respectable category will be 5 and above. You should at least know 5 of these. Okay, so your time is up, and well, so what are the full forms. SSC is secondary school certificate. That's why you say you are at the SSC level, secondary school certificate. Well, please in the comments let me know honestly if you knew this secondary school certificate. Be honest about it. You knew it was SSC. Did you know secondary school certificate? Be honest, let me know. Then what do you have? The second one was IAF. It's Indian Air Force. ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. Well, ISRO is to India what NASA is for the United States, and ISRO has many records to its credit. Genius people at work. Chandrayaan is and Mangalyaan. Every mission has been a huge success, and we are all proud of the officers and scientists at ISRO. ALS, well, you should really be unhappy if you got this one wrong, because this is a part of this lesson. We have even revised it. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. OGQ is Olympic Gold Quest. Now, did you know this is Olympic Gold Quest? In fact, this is going to be studied by us in another lesson from this very unit, from the third unit. OGQ, Olympic Gold Quest, is an organization formed by, I won't reveal much because we have to study in detail, but just remember it is an organization. What is the reason behind its establishment? To help Indian sportsperson, remember, not sportsman, Indian sportsperson achieve excellence, and as the name suggests, be able to achieve gold, nothing less than that. So if they need training, if they need facilities, if they don't have proper resources, enough material, then the organization helps the athletes. So OGQ, please remember that. We are going to study this in this very unit in some other chapter that is going to come your way. What else do we have here? UNESCO, well, you should know this. United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. And the last one is SIM. Guys, be honest. Do you know this? You know the SIM card for sure. The world uses the cell phone. Do you know the full form? Nah, be honest. Leave in the comments. Okay, I'll tell you the full form. The full form is Subscriber Identification Module. That's why you say SIM card, Subscriber Identification Module. All right, so I don't need the countdown timer for this. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Please make a note of this. Only 30 seconds. No need for the timer. And then we shall proceed to the next slide. So remember that so far in the lesson we saw that unfortunately Stephen Hawking has been diagnosed with ALS, and he realizes now that the time is very short, and so he has decided to pour himself into his work and research. He earned his PhD, by the way, that is Doctor of Philosophy. Those guys are called doctor, but they are not medical practitioners. And when I talk of this, the character that immediately should come to your mind is the character Ross from Friends. He's a paleontologist, is it not? Dr. Ross Geller. I'm sure if you know the series Friends, you know. So he was also a PhD holder, not the medical practitioner. So let us continue. If you are done, I'm assuming you're done now. So let's proceed to the next one. Let me read it. Now, when the paragraph is a big one, like you see this one here, when I read it, pay extra attention to make sure that you are able to read as fluently as I am reading. I hope you understood the point. So when I shall start reading now, and when I read, make sure that you try to follow it. I don't run for speed, but it's fluent, all right. Okay. So let me start reading it. As physical control over his body diminished, he had to use the wheelchair by 1969, that's the bracket. The effects of his disease started to slow down. Over time, however, Hawking's ever-expanding career was accompanied by an ever-worsening physical state. By the mid-1970s, The Hawking family had taken in one of Hawking's graduate students to help manage his care and work. He could still feed himself and get out of bed, but virtually everything else required assistance. In addition, his speech had become increasingly slurred. We've seen this word, guys, before, so that only those who knew him well could understand him. In 1985, he lost his voice for good following a tracheotomy. The resulting situation required a 24-hour nursing care for the acclaimed physicist. Guys, in the previous slides, we did study noted physicist. So this also is a very nice word for it. Okay, acclaimed physicist, a noted, a renowned, famous, reputed physicist. Well, beautiful and quite big paragraph. I remember, before we go ahead and study the important parts of this, I remember two things. Well, one, I'm yet to find out how I could play the trailer for you, because in the last lecture I promised we will be able to do that. I have the trailer, but I'm yet to figure out how to make that, how to play that over here. We will find that out. And the second thing which we will do is the sound S. Last time we dealt with CH, if you remember, and I had said that we will study the S sound, because sometimes S makes the S sound, the regular S sound, but sometimes it makes the Z sound, like the word in this particular slide that we just read. I hope you realize that the word is right over here, which is disease. This one here, disease. It's not dis-ease. By the way, that's what it means, but you say it as disease. You say residential. You say president. You don't say precedent. So sometimes S does make the Z sound. You have to be careful at such times to make the correct sound only. Well, we have figures of speech, repetition here for the words ever expanding and ever worsening. Then you have tracheotomy as a glossary entry. An incision made in the windpipe to remove any obstruction while breathing. Guys, the lesson says that he lost his voice for good. Now I want you to understand this. He lost his voice for good. What are they, mean people? No. He lost his voice for good means that because of the tracheotomy, the chances of his survival, meaningful survival, increased. That's why the lesson says that he lost his voice for good. You're not mean people. Of course, whatever is happening is sad. But then in order to make his life meaningful, to expand his life expectancy, whatever was done was for the good. It is with that sense that they're saying that he lost his voice for good. Okay, I hope you realize that now. And well, there's one more, acclaimed. I've told you that already, renowned or noted. So I'm going to start the countdown timer. You've got 2 minutes, and you should also make note of the words that I said where S makes the S sound, the words where S makes the Z sound. So you could make columns and write down. Well, the one that I discussed was president. Here it's not precedent, okay? President is the sound you want to make. Another word I gave you was residence. So there you have the Z sound. A very good example would be season. You know why season is a good example? I'm sure the moment I pronounced it, you all knew why it will be a very good example. Because you have both the sounds here. So you have S sound, C, and zun. So this is a very, very nice thing to study. Add this to your notes. Season is a good example because you have both the sounds of S there. Very nice. You got 50 more seconds to make your notes. Sure you're enjoying this. And also you're being appreciative about Stephen Hawking and his spirit. His indomitable spirit. That's a good word. His indomitable spirit. He's not giving up. He wants to make most of his life, whatever is left. And notice how the word 24-hour nursing care is written, guys. It's with a hyphen. Also, you would notice that this hyphen thing happened at the mid 1970s, and that's how you write it, with the S. Here you don't have just the year. So you have 1970s here, and twice 1969 and 1985 are only the years. By the way, look at the irony of his life here. The time is up. I'll just share this irony and then we will proceed. Guys, this is the year you should focus. What happened in 1969? He was forced to use a wheelchair. So unfortunately, what it means is, in 1969, he could not walk anymore, had lost control, and he was forced to get into the wheelchair in 1969. Now, why I'm highlighting this is, the irony is, that's the very same year when when human reached moon. So it's important, guys, to understand this irony, that the year when human race established its foot on on the moon, is when Stephen Hawking came into a wheelchair. And it was a very special wheelchair made especially for him, to serve the purpose of him being able to type. That's how he was able to write down all those books, by the way. If I'm not wrong, we will see that in the lesson in the next subsequent slides. He had the machine that was operated using the cheekbone. That's how the machine was operated. We will find that out in the subsequent slides, but I'm sure that that's the way it worked, because he was paralyzed completely below the chin region, completely paralyzed below that. So that's hardship. That's the life he had to lead, but he did not give up. Okay, so we are done with this and time to proceed to the next. So let me read. As usual, when I read, kindly do not make any notes at that time. Let me read. It also put in peril Hawking's ability to do his work. The predicament caught the attention of a California computer programmer who had developed a speaking program that could be directed by head or eye movement. The invention allowed Hawking to select words on a computer screen that were then passed through a speech synthesizer. At the time of its introduction, Hawking, who still had use of his fingers, selected his words with a handheld clicker. Today, with virtually all control of his body gone, Hawking directs the program through a cheek muscle attached to a sensor. So guys, this is exactly what I was saying. Earlier, he had the use of his fingers. We will see that part here. But as time passed by, he lost control and virtually all control of his body. And this is the part I was talking about. So the machine, the program understood the movement of his cheek muscle. It was attached to a sensor, and that's how he could write all those books. The word peril is to be studied. Peril means danger. Okay, so peril is a very good alternative for danger. Predicament, a difficult situation. Well, sure, this is a difficult situation, having lost virtually all the control. Sensor, a device that detects any change or movement. By the way, this word sensor is very tricky. Sensor is something that senses. Sensor board is the body which regulates the films. What is appropriate, what is inappropriate, what is good for society and what is not good for the society, what can be allowed, disallowed. That's the sensor board. So remember, there are many different, and this is a good assignment. Google this word sensor with the various spellings. Like in this one, you have the spelling SENSOR. You have it CENSOR. So you could actually go ahead and Google sensor and find out the different meaning. And I bet I share two meanings with you. Sensor board for the films. This one here in the PPT we saw was sensor, which means a device that understands or detects any change. There is a third sensor with a different meaning. Try to find that out Leave that in the comments. Okay, what else? There's a grammar entry here. What's the grammar entry? Hawking directs the program through a cheek muscle attached to a sensor. Now for change the voice, the idea remains the same. So what is the action here? Directs. I want you to understand this. The word directs is the action here. So start after that. So the program. Another thing, guys, the spelling of program should attract your attention because this is American English. Program. Program is for the computer, and an event or a function is programe. Program. It's a very important difference. I repeat, this the computer related program is program, and the Americans do the spelling as program regardless of whether it's an event or a computer thing, I believe. But here in India, an event, a function is a concert or whatever. Programe. So that's a difference, program and program. Please make note of such points whenever I share them with you. And we were dealing with the grammar question. So the program is directed. Hawking directs the program. The program is directed through a cheek muscle attached to a sensor by Hawking. I want you guys to understand this. This by part should always be placed at the end. I've said this many a times to my students who mess up the order. It is always better to put the by part at the end. Put the by part right at the end, towards the end. That's it. And now we are going to start our countdown timer. There you go, 2 minutes. Please make your notes. You can also add a lot of other things. We talked about the spelling of program that ends with M and the one that actually has the ending double M-E. So you should make sure that you have these notes. The spelling of program is what I'm talking about. And the part that by part should always be kept at the end. Nice observation here about the word program. I was talking about this word here because it's a computer program, program. Okay, so he lost in this paragraph. We actually are able to see that he slowly but steadily kept losing control over his body. So earlier he could use his fingers, but then as time passed he just lost the control, almost entire control, and so he used a cheek muscle that was attached to the sensor, and that's how he was able to do or carry on his work even in that situation. Okay, peril is a good word. I'm sure you enjoyed studying that. Peril, danger. We always seek divine intervention during a peril. Danger. The human race at the moment is seriously in peril due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So 5 more seconds and we will proceed. The time is up. I hope you are done with all the entries. The next one, let me read it. Stop making your notes. Let me read. Through the program and the help of assistants, Stephen Hawking has continued to write at a prolific rate. His work, well, that's a good word. We will study that, of course. His work has included numerous scientific papers, of course, but also information for non-scientific community. Guys, this is a compound word. And papers, well, I did talk about papers. The guys who are into medical field or research, the R&D, the research and development, well, whenever they do any study, they call it as papers. They read them at the conference or in a seminar. So scientific papers, it's not the newspapers, guys. The thing to study was prolific. I told you we'll study that. Prolific means very high. Prolific rate. He continued his work at a very prolific rate. Okay. That's it. I don't think we'll require 2 minutes of time for this one because there are only three entries. Please make a note of the entry papers, of course, the research papers. The word non-scientific is an antonym of scientific. It's a compound word because of the hyphen. Numerous, well, you can make a note of that. Numerous definitely means a lot of. And how did he continue his work? At a prolific rate, he continued his work. Wonderful. Now, here is a very good homework. In addition to the things that I've already shared with you, this will be a very good homework. If you notice, there are a lot of vocabulary entries today. A lot. In fact, there was a slide where there were no grammar entries, but there were at least 4 vocabulary entries that you must have observed. So here is a good homework for you. You have now studied the meanings. I've told you the meaning. We have studied them. But use these words in your own sentences. In your own sentences. Don't just give the textbook lines back to me. Use the words that we have studied in your own sentences. Well, that's a very good homework because now you know the word, you know the meaning. So if you actually try to put it in your own usage, you will master that, and there are chances that you will remember the words for a long time. So it's a very good homework. Okay, I think we should proceed to the next, and I believe this is the end of the lesson, the climax. Let me read it, and when I read it, do not be busy doing anything else. You should only listen. Can I start? Okay. Hawking's health, of course, remains a constant concern, a worry that was heightened in 2009 when he failed to appear at a conference in Arizona because of a chest infection. In April, Hawking, who had already announced he was retiring after 30 years from the post of Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge, was rushed to the hospital for being what university officials described as gravely ill. It was later announced that he was expected to make a full recovery. Unfortunately, that did not happen, and he passed away on 14th March 2018. I very clearly recollect telling you and sharing this with you at the start that when this syllabus was launched, we didn't have this date because he was with us. It's a very unfortunate thing, and that footnote in the bracket was added later. Let us go back to the PPT to study important parts. Lucasian, I'm sure this word is new for you guys. The Lucasian professor means the highest post for maths at a university or college. Okay, someone who is good at maths is also known as a wrangler, but try to find a spelling of wrangler. Okay, but Lucasian here is a degree, is a post, the highest post for a mathematics faculty in a college or university. Gravely ill means seriously ill, and doctors thought that the condition was out of control. Of course, later doctors thought that there was a chance of a recovery. Unfortunately, it did not happen. Here is a WH type question. He passed away on 14 March 2018. 14th March is 2018 has been underlined, and you have to frame a WH type question. So what is a WH type question? It means that the underlined part should become the answer. That is what it actually means. Okay, so how are you going to frame a question such that this part 14th March 2018 will be the answer? The answer is, when did he pass away? And the answer will be 14 March 2018. You should notice one thing. Here in the question you have past with ed, but because you use the word did in the question, the past ed changes to the present form pass. So you don't have to write when did he passed away. You should write when did he pass away. Okay, I'm sure you enjoyed that, guys. This was very important observation, and I think now we should definitely start the countdown timer, after which the lesson is over. But I clearly am sure you're excited about that vocabulary thing. Chance for you to impress me. There will be about not 10 but 8 different vocabulary, good vocabulary words from vocabulary that you're going to study. 8 of them. And your target should be 5 and above. In the comments, do let me know the score. You should try to get 5 and above out of those 8 words. After this, you have about a minute and 20 seconds for this one. And this one actually has a few more things here. Arizona, that's in America, it's a state. You have because of a chest infection, could be to spot a conjunction or a subordinator. And another thing I want to share with you is how to write the date. I don't actually prescribe writing the date this way when it comes to letter writing. But the better way to write the date is actually to write down the month. I'm okay with this format. So you write down the month, then you put the date, then you put the comma, and finally, of course, you mention the year. So I really like the date written this way. So whenever you are doing letter writing, you should definitely make sure that you're writing the date this way, guys, instead of the way the textbook shows. About 10 more seconds. Please make a note about that date thing. Remember the word location. That's how you pronounce it, location. And location reminds me that that would be another example where S makes the proper S sound, not the Z sound. Remember? We had this discussion. All right. Well, the lesson is over. I'm sure that you enjoyed this. We have seen the books written by Stephen Hawking after your 10th standard, or maybe during the 10th standard, should you find time. Go ahead and read The Briefer History of Time, because I believe the lesson said that that's the easiest to understand. Do the homework. Well, vocabulary, we've studied a lot of words. In fact, today we are going to follow this up with vocabulary. I'm sure you are going to enjoy this. The time limit will be 1 minute for every entry on the notepad. Okay, so 1 minute, and of course I will tell you the right answer. You will have a minute. Okay, are you ready? Let's get started with I'll pull the notepad, guys. There you go. Don't worry about the time limit. I will definitely have that restarted at 1 minute, because I've already told you that 1 minute is going to be the time for all. So the first entry for the vocabulary, let me type the question. The question number 1 is this: to describe the similarities, the similarities or differences of. So I'm going to provide you options, and you have to tell me what's your favorite, in the sense which one actually is correct. So is it A, aid? Is it B, combine? Is it C, compare? Or is it D, leave? And it is here that I am going to start the timer. So let me bring the, yes, I believe the 1 minute time did not start properly, so let me do that properly. Yes, now you have a minute. What do you think this is? To describe the similarities or differences of. Is it aid? Is it combine? Is it compare? Or is it leave? Be honest. Your target is going to be 5 and above. Another 30 seconds. 25 now, in fact. I'm sure that there will be guys who will get 7 or maybe 8 out of 8. all will not be as simple as this one. I just wanted to encourage you, so this one is quite simple. I am sure you have the right answer here. The right answer, the time is up. The right answer here is compare. And I'm sure that you have the correct answer. Please put a tick mark, and time for us to do the second one. Okay, I'm sure you're ready for the second one. This time let me bring the options as well straight away. These are your options, and let me go ahead and start the timer. There you go. To speak or write in detail. I repeat, to speak or write in detail. So is it A, vague? Is it expatiate? Is it scroll? Is it shuffle? To speak or write in detail. You have to leave the score in the comments, guys. Very important. To speak or write in detail. Is it vague? By the way, that's the pronunciation. V-A-G-U-E. Expatiate. That T makes the sh sound. Is it scroll or is it shuffle? You have 15 seconds left. And now the last 5 seconds before I reveal the answer. Hopefully you will be 2 out of 2 after this. Well, what is the right answer here? The right answer is B, expatiate. Expatiate means to write or speak in detail. Did you get that right, guys? Sure you did. The third one then. What's the third one? I'll pull up the question and make the entry in the notepad. This is the third one. I beg your pardon. Let me just redo it once, guys. Yeah. To change in some way. To change in some way. By the way, let us come back to this one for the time control. Yeah. To change in some way. So what is the word for that? Is it refrain? Is it B, modify? Is it C, pedal? Or is it D, state? To change in some way. What is the word for that? Try to score 5 and above. 8 out of 8. Well, you're simply great. I have started with easy ones. They will get tough. Another 20 odd seconds before I reveal the answer. I'll make space by deleting the first one, by the way. Hope you're okay with that. Or maybe we will scroll. We'll find out. I will reveal the answer now in the next 5 seconds. To change in some way. Your time is up and the correct answer is B, modify. I'm sure you got that. To change in some way is to modify. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So we are now going to proceed to number 4. Let me get to it. There you go. Number 4. For the countdown timer, let me go to PPT and come back to this. The time starts. What's the fourth one? To destroy or demolish. To destroy or demolish. What do you think is the correct word? Is it A, sabotage? Is it B, dabble? Is it C, retaliate? Or is it D, usher? What is the word which means to destroy or demolish? Now this one should be interesting. You have half a minute left. Make your choice. The idea, the way I thought of this was because this lesson was so full of good terms that I thought that vocabulary is right for this lesson. You have another 5 seconds before I reveal the answer. The time is up and the correct answer is A, sabotage. Did you get that right? To destroy or demolish is sabotage. Very important. Now I'm going to get rid of all the 4 entries because this is exactly where we will do number 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, let me come on cam for something interesting. You would have noticed that one of the 3 options is correct, is it not? So you have to find out the meaning of the other 3. Very important. Don't just leave them like that. Well, the other 3, they are not the answer, but then they are words, so they would mean something. So go ahead and find what they actually mean. That's why you know that that's not the answer. Let's get back to the word pad, and I'm now going to put question number 5 in front of you. Question number 5, here it is, and let me go to the PPT and then come back to Word so that the time can start. The question number 5 is to calculate or to have a well thought opinion. To calculate or to have a well thought opinion. So is it A, surmise? Is it B, reckon? Is it C, besiege? Or is it D, assign? What is the meaning? What is the word that means to calculate or to have a well thought opinion? Make your choice. You have another, how many? 25 seconds. If you are at 4 out of 4, well, you don't want to mess up your good work. And if you are at 4 out of 4, well, you get this one right, you're already in the respectable category because your first target is to get 5 out of 8. So you have another 5 seconds before I reveal the answer. To calculate or to have a well thought opinion, and the answer is reckon. B option, reckon. That's the right answer. Okay, very important, guys. It's not surmise. Some people might have thought of that. Okay, then number 6. I'm going to put that question now in front of you. Number 6. And let me go to the PPT and then come back to this so that the time can start. Yes. To get used to the new conditions. I repeat, to get used to the new conditions. What is the correct word for it? Is it A, acclimatize? That's how you pronounce it. Is it B, corrugate? Is it C, banish? Or is it D, quaff? What is the correct word which means to get used to the new conditions? You have half a minute left now. What is the correct word? Make your choice. Who knows? There could be so many people with 8 out of 8. And I'm sure you're making proper notes in a notepad because this is important. I've already clarified you have to study the remaining 3 as well, not just the correct one. Check out the meaning of the other 3. Like in this case, you have 4 good words. Time is up. So what's the correct answer here? To get used to the new conditions, the correct answer is A, acclimatize. That's the correct answer. So you acclimatize. Guys, when our Indian team, Indian cricket team goes abroad, often we hear the commentators share with us that Team India has to get acclimatized to the conditions. So they have to acclimatize means they have to get used to the new conditions. Very important. And let's see what else we got. We have 2 more questions. I will put the question number 7 now in front of you. Question number 7. Here we go. All right, I will go to the PPT and then come back to the WordPad so that the time can start. It has started. Let me read the question. To calm or pacify. To calm or pacify. So is it A, blench? Is it B, placate? Is it C, wrench? Or is it D, adorn? To calm or pacify. What is the word? Is it A, blench? Does placate mean to calm or pacify? Does wrench mean to calm or pacify? Or does adorn means to calm or pacify? Make your choice. You have another 25 seconds. You have last 10 seconds. 5 more seconds before I reveal and we proceed to the last one after that. Your time is up and the correct answer is B, placate. Placate is the right answer. To calm or pacify means to placate. Find out the meaning of the other words from the dictionary. And now on to the last entry for today. So the question is in front of you, but let me as usual go to the PPT and then come back quickly to the question so that the time can start. What is the last question? To recover from an illness or fatigue. So to recover from an illness or fatigue, what is the word? Is it A, recuperate? Is it B, scoot? Is it C, abstain? Or is it D, revoke? Make your choice. Is it A, recuperate? Is it B, scoot? Is it C, abstain? Or is it D, revoke? To recover from an illness or fatigue. You have another 25 seconds. If you get 8 out of 8, please do mention so in the comments and be honest about it. I will really appreciate your performance. Last 5 seconds. Your time is up and the correct answer is A, recuperate. Recuperate means to recover from an illness or fatigue. All right, fantastic. What a session we had. We finished 3.3 and because there were so many glossary entries, we did this exercise. Let me know your score. Do the homework. The homework is to make use of those glossary terms in your own sentences. Yes, we are yet to see the trailer. We will do it. And by the way, if you're wondering, very quickly I'll touch upon this. If you're wondering why did we not share the textbook exercises, textual exercises, it's because there is only one meaningful textual assignment, which is about the speech and proverb. That will be discussed separately in another lecture. That's why I didn't deal with it. So the next time we are going to start with the unit 3.4. I'm sure that this lecture added value to your understanding of the English language, added to your grammar knowledge. Up until next time, take care.